This year's delayed Paralympic Games are drawing to a close. I don't know if you've been following any of the sport, but there has been plenty of it. I, for one, have enjoyed seeing some of it on TV. Since the London Games in 2012, the Paralympics have had a much higher profile in this country. And there have been quite a few stories of athletes who were inspired to take up their sport by athletes they saw in 2012. I've heard more than one athlete say that the Paralympics shows that you can be whatever you want to be. Well, I'm not sure that you can be whatever you want to be. Of course, the message from the Paralympics is that what we often see as a disability should not have to be a barrier to achievement. But that's not the same thing as saying that you can be whatever you want to be. I might want to be an Olympic athlete, but however dedicated I am and however hard I try, it's not going to happen. Training and dedication would improve my sporting achievements, that's for sure, but I could never reach that kind of level. I have my limitations, as we all do. I'm not sure we can be whatever we want to be. Some of those limitations are built into us because of our biological inheritance, and some are imposed on us by our own habits, or the things which have happened to us, or the way society has labelled us. In the book of Isaiah, we read of the eyes of the blind being opened and the ears of the deaf unstopped, and the lame leaping like a deer. That's not an easy text to hear in the season of the Paralympics, or of course at any time if these things apply to you personally. But the fact is we are all limited because we're human. None of us can do whatever we want. Some of those limitations we have labelled as disabilities, and some we see simply as elements of being human, or of having particular personalities, or whatever. Some people cannot see well. Some people have different ways of showing emotion or feeling emotion or understanding emotion. And none of us can fly. And we label people. Labels can be useful, but they can lead us to thinking of people as them rather than us. And over time our societies have used some of those labels we put on people to exclude people, to avoid taking account of people's needs. And Isaiah speaks of hope to a people in exile, that they will be able to go home. The people were in exile in Babylon, and the normal route back to their homeland would have been a roundabout one to avoid the desert. But Isaiah says, no, there will be water in the wilderness. Not just going home, but going home the direct way. It's a powerful message of hope found in God. In God, you can find home. Exodus and exile are important themes in the Bible. The story of the Exodus from Egypt is echoed in the exile and return from Babylon. And oppression under Babylon is echoed in the New Testament struggle with Rome, as found in the book of Revelation, where the word Babylon presumably stands either for Rome or the oppression we find in empires in general. So these are not just stories about the history of the Hebrew and early Christian people. They are stories about how we live now. Isaiah is offering hope for release from those artificially imposed limitations then and now and beyond. Something else I've been watching on the telly recently is a series called Uprising by Steve McQueen, which tells the story of some of the black community in London focused on the New Cross fire and the Brixton riots in 1981. The interviewees spoke of the oppression and discrimination they suffered, and interestingly also often of the hope they found in the music of Bob Marley. Marley's song Exodus mixes up the images of exodus and exile and applies them both to the suffering of the African diaspora in Europe and America. It's the same process. And the echo of those stories brings hope, as it brought to the people in Egypt and in Babylon and under the might of Rome and under threat from the National Front and a casually racist police force and political authority. Jesus heals a Gentile woman's daughter, a female child of a woman who was an outsider. There's a lot of what you might call othering going on here. You're not like us. You're a them and not an us. Whatever else is going on in this story, Jesus sees this woman who is them and heals her child as if she was us. And then in Jesus' ongoing failed attempt to get some peace and quiet, he heals a deaf man. We don't often get Jesus' words quoted in his own language. But here he takes the man aside and touches him. And Jesus looks up to heaven, sighs, and says, Ephphatha, which means be opened. And we are told the man's ears are opened. So we assume maybe that Jesus is telling the man's ears to be opened. And maybe Jesus is doing that. But Jesus is also looking up to heaven. What if Jesus is also saying to heaven, be opened? Open your eyes. Open your ears. Let heaven be opened. Where is othering going on? Where are our artificial limitations holding people back? Where are we labelling people as them or other and making it harder to see them as us? Where have we been labelled as them? What is the empire which we use to oppress people, to discriminate, to ignore or dehumanise? And what is the empire which does those things to us? Where can we find the hope for freedom from Egypt or Babylon or Rome or Britain? How can we find home? God's mission is to bring that water in the wilderness. Ours is to see and hear what is really going on, and then be able to work with God wherever we might find God. Ephphatha. Open your eyes. Open your ears. Let heaven be opened.